During Betrayal's 5-week development cycle, many changes occurred to the game itself. Betrayal was initially going to be a board game. Each player was going to have a piece to move around the board, and the amount of spaces was going to be determined by a 6-sided die. Some spaces were going to be traps, causing the player damage. Certain spaces were going to allow the player to draw a card to allow the player to attack other players. The main goal of the original idea was to kill the other players by getting their health down to 0 and being the sole survivor. During development, the game was changed to be a purely card-based game. New rules were added. Starting health was increased from 12 to 30, allowing for more long-term strategic opportunities. The maximum amount of health a player can have is 40. Each player starts out with 4 cards and can have up to 7 cards. If an 8th card is drawn, the player must play one of the cards in their hand. The player draws a card from the stack of their choice at the end of each turn. There are 4 stacks cards in total, each stack being a different type of card. There are action cards, defense cards, alliance cards, and betrayal cards. Within these 4 decks, there is a 5th type of card mixed in, luck cards. Action cards allow a player to attack, and defense cards contain healing cards and cards that block or prevent damage from being taken. During the first 3 turns, players can only use action and defense cards. Luck cards, which are randomly in the other 4 decks, have a chance to do a specific action. For example, one could deal a specific amount of damage to a player depending on what number the die landed on. The effects could be determined by a coin flip as well. One of the simpler luck cards is Gambler. If a coin lands on heads, a card is drawn. If a coin lands on tails, a card is discarded from the player's hand. Some of the cards are more complex and could cause damage to the player if the player rolls below a certain number, for example, if they rolled below a 3. Alliances were the initial idea as well, but were expanded upon greatly during the development cycle. Alliance cards became its own type of card, and many benefits were added to joining an alliance. The goal of the game is still to be the sole survivor, but making an alliance with other players could help a player stay alive longer. These cards mainly revolve around blocking damage to allies and healing allies. However, there are cards that force other players into the alliance, which can prevent them from harming you in the long run. The final type of card are betrayal cards. Betrayal cards are almost the complete opposite of alliance cards. Betrayal cards can break alliances by forcing people out of them and allow people to be attacked within an alliance. To counteract this, there are alliance cards to prevent the use of betrayal cards and vice versa. One example would be the card Blood Oath, which is an alliance card that prevents 2 players from attacking each other for 3 turns. However, one betrayal card called Survival Instincts breaks any blood oaths a player may have. In the end, I believe the spirit of the original idea remains intact. The game still revolves around survival and strategy, and I believe it still remains competitive.